first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
We can't allow any further delay.
Hello and welcome to the First Alert Weather Podcast, also known as the Fox 12 Weather Podcast. I'm meteorologist Mark Nelson here. It is a Thursday evening. It's about 7 p.m. and I'm joined by Camila Ortiz. Camila, how you doing?
Hello. Good. It's nice out there today.
Nice. 80 degrees.
Yeah, not bad.
We're having a kind of a mellow work day in here. Yeah, we got some kind of exciting weather ahead. We got First Alert Weather Days. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is good. We're going to cover some surprise rainfall. Oh, well, here, we're going to cover all sorts of stuff. Let me just get the slides going. So this is episode 140.
Roll right into it. 140.
Camila, I missed last week because I think I had days to use. Something like some I'd worked.
Yeah,
I worked too many days.
You didn't have like a big crazy trip or anything, right? You were around. You were just kind of
I was around.
Mode.
Got a lot of stuff done, as they say. More or less, that's how we say it.
That's great.
And then the week before, I had COVID. Oh, I guess I shouldn't share any other information.
And then I had it last week, but I don't think it was because of you, because a lot of people at work were quick to be like, "Oh, that Mark Nelson." I'm like, "No, we never worked together. We didn't overlap."
So I think it's thrown me under the bus, huh? Interesting.
I think, they definitely do throw you under the bus.
I mean, I would too. I'd probably throw a coworker under the bus and the week before, our coworkers, Nora Hart and Riel, they both had something, but I don't think they had COVID. They were like coughing and hacking.
It's just weird. Like,
weird time of year.
Bugs were going around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I'm all healed now, back on the bike. Everything's good.
Awesome.
And let's get into it. All right. So we're going to cover in this episode. Oh, by the way, Peyton, she's off tonight, so she's taking a break. Katie works the morning shift, so she's down to sleep early. So first heat wave of 2025. We actually have a heat wave. Well, is it a heat wave? We'll talk about that.
I was kind of surprised that you put heat wave in there, but I mean, almost.
And is it one word or two? I've used it both ways in my career.
I would do 2 words, I think.
Yeah.
Heat wave.
Like snowstorm.
Right.
Yeah. Term of the week, which is related. Okay. We will cover the big change we think next week with the question mark. We can do a question mark on the podcast. I'm not a big fan of question marks within weather graphics.
Yeah.
Drought
makes you look unsure. That's why.
Unsure.
For anyone who's not a TV nerd.
Yeah. Drought check. Kind of.
Important.
And then viewer photos. We've got some good ones. We had some Aurora Borealis, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Some super awesome pictures. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. So where have we been? We're not going to spend too much time on past weather. Sometimes I get bored with that, and you probably, people glazing over. So here's just the last 2 weeks in Portland. Hey, Camila, did you know, I just learned this from Peyton a few days ago. Do you know how to make that little dot between last 2 weeks in Portland in our graphics?
No.
Alt, you ready for it?
Yes.
I want to write it down. Alt 0148.
What?
We need to add that to our like El Nino, the NYAs too.
01. I am going to write it down. But why is it that? That's stupid.
I don't know. But, there's just a code. There's a keyboard shortcut for everything. You know what? Wow. Don't you worry. In no time, AI is just going to do all this anyway, and we won't even exist. Okay, so
we'll be irrelevant.
But luckily for you folks listening and watching, we prefer watching, by the way. This is an AI-free zone this evening. Right?
So we say.
Are you real? I think you're real. I just saw you in the other room and you were real.
Just saying. Who would know?
You would never know. Wow, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, it's getting good.
So we hit 80 degrees today, maybe 81. Camila is on top. She is on daily climatological report watch this evening because we're recording this at 7:15 p.m. and about 7:25, the Weather Service sends out their final, what was the official high at PDX. So we know it at least hit 80. So that could be our number one bit of breaking news during this podcast. Number 2 could be the 0Z graph model comes out during this podcast in about 10 or 12 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And we like that because I have a text product. You've maybe seen it online, and sometimes we've shown it here. And we like to see it does really well with heat waves, I've noticed. So we will see. It had been running kind of, cool. Is that right?
Like 1 or 2 degrees, yeah.
Yeah, which is funny because what else has changed 1 or 2 degrees in the last month? The PDX weather sensor.
Yeah.
So now it's come down. So actually, the graph seems pretty reasonable nowadays with PDX temperatures.
I think so. I think it's made the graph more accurate. Well, it hasn't impacted the graph, but you know what I mean. They're lining up better now.
The graph always very accurate and PDX was inaccurate. We don't really know.
Exactly.
Never shall we know. Okay, so we 80 today, but we had 69 yesterday. We'll cover that a little bit of rain, the drizzle, and then we had some 70s. 86. Am I not correct? That was the highest of the season so far. The 30th,
Correct. Yep.
last Friday,
beating out the 6th of May.
Was that the 85?
That was the 85.
Okay, 86.
Yeah.
As for rain, again, not to belabor this, but we had in the last 10 days, we've only had 2 days with measurable rain. Yesterday we had 1,800 of an inch. By the way, I saw that last June this far, and I'm like, wait, it's only the 5th. We had an inch of rain by the 5th of June last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like
guess I didn't pull this
6,900
graphic up.
one day, and then another 10 and 5. But there wasn't much more after that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Okay, so that's rain. Oh, speaking of rain, I remember going on air the night before, and I think I done a blog post too saying, hey, there's going to be areas of drizzle tomorrow morning. This was Tuesday night for Wednesday morning, the 4th.
Yep.
And I said, hey, areas of drizzle. Typically, it looks like, usually it's up against the Cascades. But boy, that was not the case. I woke up, I only have the numbers here. Folks that got more than 1/10 of an inch, 0.10. I actually only had 700s in my house. So I got up and I thought, I had 700s in the foothills. I bet it didn't even rain in Portland. Instead, it's like a little band of convergence or something sat right over the middle and the eastern side of the city.
Yeah.
And look at the heaviest amounts, like inner East Portland, 0.3. There's a 0.27 at Park Rose, a 0.3 at Camas.
Yeah, I was not expecting that when I came in on Wednesday, and I was like,
Nope.
what? Yeah. I don't think we got, I mean, you can see Beaverton, at least the east, kind of almost more into the West Hills, got like a 1/10 of an inch, but I don't know that we must have gotten more than trace amounts at our house.
Was the road even wet? Probably not.
I remember seeing the road being wet that morning, but that was it.
By the way, I know I suddenly turned dark. I'm only a small little picture up in the upper right here of the video. We were having a lighting issue. I'm going to work on it. I can sense a nasty email coming out after I finish this podcast. I'm using the light from through the window from the other room, and it just went off. But you know what? You shouldn't be looking at me anyway. You should be looking at
our beautiful
graphics. Beautiful graphics. Point is, we had significant, decent little rain yesterday morning, so that was good. Okay, so we covered that. Now, I like this chart. We don't show it on TV much, but it just shows the frequency of rain. So the percentage of years that rain has fallen on a certain date in Portland. Left side, we started June 1st. Right side, all the way to September 15th. And I think if you've lived here long, folks, we have a very pronounced dry season here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we complain about the rain all winter and late fall through mid-spring. But boy, once you get past, there's quite a drop-off after about June 20th. You notice that right here?
Yeah.
And then it keeps dropping off after about the 4th of July. In fact, I don't know if it's still the case, but in the past, the 4th of July on average was the, quote, wettest day in the month of July on average.
Huh.
Which is kind of funny because we've had hardly any rain in the last 20 years on the 4th, 25 years.
Yeah.
And it bottoms out here early August, right there. And then it's a slow climb up. Notice it drops off a little. The drop off is quicker than the rise in the late summer.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun little one here. But, I mean, this says that right now, 35% of any day, if you took 100 June 5th, for example, 100 different years, 35 of those years there's been measurable rain. So it's still an okay chance for showers.
Yeah.
Boy, we've had so little other than yesterday.
Yeah. It's just you can see a very clear difference between the month of June and July. It really drops off in July. Yeah.
The other thing that drops off on average, now each year is different, but on average is the amount of cloud cover goes way down in July as well.
Yeah.
So it's a combo of the two, and people say, summer's here.
Right.
And then the rain lovers, I don't mean like lovers that are in the rain, but I mean people that love rain. Okay, you always have to specify that. I think people would have
assumed that's what you meant, but I'm glad that you still clarified it like that.
But the people that love the rain are like they go into hiding July and August. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's our first alert 7-day forecast here.
Oh boy.
And you can see we have a lot of suns. We don't have much cloud cover. We have 2, we're calling those first alert weather days, which says, hey, this is beyond, just average. Like it's going to be a little warm. It's like, it's actually hot weather Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
And I boosted up today a couple degrees on Sunday, I believe. Did we have 94 yesterday or 95?
We did have Sunday? 94 on Sunday yesterday, and I believe 90 on Monday. So you cranked both of those up. I'm curious about Saturday because I was looking at the graph. I think the graph still had 88 for Saturday. So why did you drop that down a little bit?
I thought I had 87 or 86 today.
I'm looking at the
18Z?
The 18Z has
what does
88.
It have? Does it really?
Yeah.
What does the 12Z have?
Let me look. Let me
You
tell
have
you. I
87?
can pull it right up. 12Z graph for Saturday had 86. So
maybe that's what I looked. Maybe I didn't look at
boosted
the
it
18.
up a little bit. I don't know, but I was
We're gonna
curious about that.
we'll see what the 0Z has.
Or I was like, maybe there's going to be more onshore flow or something.
We're gonna cover that.
Uh-huh.
I got 925. Not only do we have 500 millibar maps, which we always have, okay, standard. This time it's like a 7-course meal. We also have 925 millibar wind graphics in this podcast. And for the real hardcore nerds, we have 850 millibar maps and an 850 millibar chart. Holy cow, we got to keep moving.
Left and right.
I don't even know how we're going to pack this all in. This is an action-packed podcast.
Hope you brought your stretchy pants.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I still have some of those good peanut butter cookies behind the Weather Center.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did I mention that? Yeah.
No, you didn't.
So here's 500 millibar heights Friday afternoon. So this is tomorrow afternoon. We're recording this Thursday night. So there's a good chance you're watching this on Friday, although we hope to have this up by about 9 p.m. tonight. A little hard to see here because I've zoomed in, but we have a 588, 590 millibar height high pressure area. High heights here offshore. We've had this upper level ridge sitting offshore most of the week. Flow is west-northwest around it in the upper levels. When it's like that, we tend to have good onshore flow, keeps us from warming up too much. The atmosphere is warm, but it's not like crazy warm, and we hit 80 today.
Yeah.
So what changes? So this is tomorrow afternoon. Oh, by the way, since it is getting a little bit closer tomorrow than it is today, so that's why we bumped up temperatures about. If we hit 80 today or 81, we're going to hit 85 tomorrow, so it's up 5 degrees.
That makes sense.
But by Sunday afternoon, you've got a 588. Some models have it up to 588, some do not. That's a nice little hot area of high pressure. When we get to 590, that's like, that's kind of heat wave territory for us. We could hit 90 with the with the low level flow correct offshore flow, which we'll get to in a minute. If you had offshore flow in 585 heights, we could hit 90. It's really important, the orientation of this ridge. And I remember George Steffen, who I worked with him first at a private company when I first got out of college here in Portland. And then he also was on TV here at KPTV, did weekends for like 7 or 8 or 10 years. I remember he said how the ridge looks, the orientation of the ridge is important for how warm we get, not just the temperatures overhead. If it's kind of a squash flat ridge, we don't get decent offshore flow at all. If it's a sharp ridge, that's when, as it moves over, you can get big easterly wind. This one's kind of right over the top of us. It's just kind of a big pile of warm air.
So basically, based on that rule, you're saying if the center of the ridge had been farther north and it was like a sharper shape, we would have more of that offshore easterly.
Yeah, that great heat wave of 2021, the high was, oops, did I just lose my cursor? The high was here.
Okay.
Was it 595 here? Then you get easterly flow underneath.
That makes sense. And that's when we hit, 116?
That was an extreme.
Yeah.
But in a normal summer to hit 100, 102, if you have the H, the high, centered right over us, 590 or just slightly north, that's good.
Okay.
So 850 millibar temp, so this is temperature at about 5,000 feet, about past elevation, Celsius. Everything, by the way, folks, in almost the entire weather world, we don't use imperial units, we use metric units, just because that's how most science is done. Would you agree with you just went through all those classes? Most things are not in Fahrenheit.
Well, and I mean, keep in mind, almost everywhere else in the world, actually everywhere else in the world uses
not Malaysia. Oh wait, no, it's what is that? Burma. It used to be called Burma. What's that country?
I'm bad at geography. I'm the wrong person to lean on for this.
It is no longer Burma. No, I can't believe I lost it. It's that country, and there's one other country that still does.
The Myanmar?
Oh, Myanmar. Yeah.
There you go.
I think they still use the imperial units as well, but there aren't many left.
Yeah.
Anyway, so plus 20, that's in the upper 60s up at 5,000 feet. So if we mix down that warm air, plus 20 or 21, that can easily get us to 90 in Portland. We get offshore flow, as you'll see, we can go higher than that. So that's the forecast. Models in pretty good agreement on that now. It bumped up a little bit from yesterday. Camila and I were looking at that earlier. Just a degree or two warmer than what it was showing yesterday, they were showing. This is the Euro. Other models are similar. Monday afternoon, actually, there's two differences on Monday. Well, minor. It's 20 or 21 here. Okay, there is no difference there. I don't know why I just said that. But in the Columbia Basin, it's hotter Monday, you see.
Oh,
that's like if you go over to the Tri-Cities, 22 at Hermiston, too. Instead, it's 25. Dang, that's hot.
That is toasty. Wow.
Always interesting to remember on these charts at 850 millibars. I mean, burns, you're almost at 850 millibars, so that's why you often see the really hot stuff. You're getting near the surface there.
So that's Monday afternoon. Yeah, so that's what 100 plus degrees in those areas. We think.
Well, if you got a plus 25 and then you bring that down to sea level over there, that's going to be 100.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the change I see. It's minor, but it's there. Streamlines. I know this is really hard to read, so I put some beautiful blue, arrows.
It's very steady hand there.
Yeah, very steady. A little shaky. I think it was during my 5 and 6 o'clock shows. Saturday afternoon, it's still northerly. This is at 925 millibars, so that's about 25 or 2,700 feet out. So about halfway up to the passes. So not too far above the surface. You got a northerly flow here, and it's still onshore through the gorge. Notice the westerly winds. This is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no evidence of offshore flow. We're not losing the onshore flow really Saturday. So it didn't look like Saturday would be much warmer than Sunday. And then we're going to find out soon here what the graph shows. And then there is a slight change. It's slight, but it's there Sunday. That tells me there's a significant change there. Warmer 850 millibar temps and a little switch to offshore flow here. Overhead, it's not going to make it down here at sea level. We'll still have a northerly wind down here where we live. But overhead, that's a change. That means things can heat up a bit quicker.
Yeah.
I bet it's 726. I bet that 0Z graph is in. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, let's find out.
You could actually even pull up the text version. Oh, no, I guess you can just run the loop, whatever works for you.
I was just going to do the text version. You ruined all my tabs since I had to look up that Burma thing.
Folks, you've never seen somebody have so many tabs open on their computer. I'm not shaming you.
Wait, guess how many I have right now?
10?
Nope, try again.
Do we have time to count? It could be hours.
18.
Those poor computers.
I know. That's probably why they're running so slow. We were complaining about that. Well, the text version is still not in, but let me see if
it should be in. The 0Z, it should be all. You mean it's not in all the way until then?
Yeah, it must not be, but let's see.
It must have Saturday in.
Oh, it's in. Okay, what do you think Graph is doing for Sunday?
How about Saturday first?
Okay, Saturday first.
Folks, this is basically what we do. I mean, this is like as it happens. What does it show Saturday?
5 p.m. It's showing 86.
There's no 87 or 88?
It bumps Salem to 87.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's not a hot day. It's got to be 90 to call it hot.
Yeah.
No first alert day.
Sunday, what was it? What did the 12Z show?
Well, we don't have Sunday. That's the first time we'll see Sunday.
Oh, right. It's going 95.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We're good. So, we are golden, as they say.
That's great, as in for our forecast, but maybe not necessarily great in general. But yes,
this is meteorological. I mean, good.
Yeah. It's gonna be hot. That's for sure.
So, if you got a plus 20 or plus 21, this is the old magic chart. 850 millibar temps over Salem in the afternoon versus what PDX's high is. The reason we use Salem instead of over Portland is because we don't have balloon soundings from the past over Portland, so we only have Salem. I think it was done at some point in the 40s, but anyway, so we base this on past cases. The line is the average. So let's say if you have a plus 20 in the afternoon at 850, and would be like sunny situations would be here. East wind, where we actually get an east wind surfacing, would be way up here.
Right.
I don't know what was going on that day. Let's say, okay, so we have a 20 or 21, and we have a kind of briefly offshore flow Sunday, so that's 95, 96.
Yeah.
If we had a great east wind setup, we actually had offshore flow, I'd be like 9. We could hit
upper
98.
90s. Yeah.
Upper 90s is pretty high for a plus 20 or 21. That's more like 24, 25 stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how we get our forecast. That's how we get our forecast.
Yeah.
A little behind the scenes here. This is an email I sent out.
Email snippet. Hold on. Is this allowed?
I know. I was just going to say, is there any private information in here? No.
I don't think so.
We always send out a forecast note, as any good meteorologist should, to their crew, for the newsies, I call them. Yeah. What's changed?
Yeah.
And I like to use colors to highlight. Very straightforward.
Very nice.
Because those news people, they didn't go to like science school. So
careful, Mark. You're talking to one of them right now.
Yeah, but you live in both worlds.
Okay.
You're a scientist and you're a journalist.
Sure. All right.
So I just told them, hey, we've upped temperatures a few degrees. Going to call both those days, Sunday and Monday, first alert weather days. And I said, there's always this debate on these marginal situations. Like, well, it's not really a heat wave. Like you see there, I say usually we want to see 3 days at or above 90 in our climate to call it a heat wave. But I said, it's close enough because if we're going to be really 96 and 93, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough. marginal heat wave.
Right.
That's just to avoid the usual, like somebody calling me from the newsroom. God bless all our coworkers. I love them, just about all of them. And I'm just kidding. They're all great. But somebody will call me and say, can we call this a heat wave? It's like, no, it's fine. Let's just call it, a brief little heat wave.
Yeah.
Much cooler weather pattern is going to follow mid to latter part of next week. More on that in a minute. Our first heat wave last year, we didn't have it till July 4th through the 10th.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was a long one. I remember that.
Yeah, I was on vacation for that one.
Ugh.
Was I on vacation for this one? I don't
on
remember
vacation
any of
the
these.
entire
Just kidding.
summer, basically. It's probably a safe bet.
Okay, which leads us to the term of the week, folks. Onshore and offshore flow. So that's actually two terms, but they go together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we do use these a lot on air.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's funny. During the warm season, generally not so much. We'll use it amongst ourselves in the cold season with the cold east wind. But
yeah.
Onshore flow, this is a definition from NOAA. This is, of course, we covered vastly different climates, but onshore flow occurs when air moves from, I'm sorry, did I just say onshore? Offshore flow. Offshore is where air moves from the land to the sea. Yes. It's moving offshore. Onshore is, I always remember that one. Onshore means it's coming onshore from the sea to the land.
Yes.
Typically, of course, if air is coming from a source over water, it's going to have increased moisture. And if it's coming from the land to the sea, usually associated with dry weather, not always, but usually.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? So, Camila, the first three parts of this make sense, and the number 7 makes sense. I didn't quite understand what was going on with 4, 5, and 6, so I'm ignoring the top. Most important.
Well, you've got. I think I know what it's trying to do here.
Let me cover the bottom, and then you tell me how the. I didn't quite understand what was going on at the top. So, in our climate especially, but many areas, ocean water is cool. Ocean water takes much longer to heat up than the first few inches of the land surface. So think of a sunny summer day or any warm season day, the land heats up quickly. Actually, every day the land is going to try to have lower pressure than the pretty stable pressure offshore. This is assuming there are no big weather systems moving through. Let's assume we're in a stable weather pattern overhead.
Yeah.
Okay. So on any average day, the land heats up, the air heats up. That creates what we call a thermal low or thermal low pressure. Air rises. If air rises here, something has to replace it. There's a vacuum, so air tends to be drawn onshore. That's almost like a marine cold front of maybe just a dry cold front, but more or less on the edge of cooler, denser air.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple more things I should point out with this. In our climate in the warm season, typically it's very dry overhead. There's no moisture to work with. Often there's no cloud cover overhead. Yes, there may be cloud cover or fog within this cool air. But as this moves in and pushes this air up, usually there's no effect. We just get a cooling breeze coming in from the ocean every afternoon. Or if it's really strong, we get all the low clouds and fog inland, like yesterday.
Right.
If we're in a climate where, let's say, this is pretty warm, humid air, and there's plenty of moisture to work with here, you can imagine what could happen as a dense, heavy, cool air moves onshore into the lighter, maybe a little unstable air, or lighter air. So as that lifts that up, you could suddenly get thunder showers here, and that's what we see Florida and other places along the Gulf Coast, the eastern USA coastline. If it's a warm, humid air mass, every afternoon as that sea breeze moves inland, sometimes called a sea breeze, onshore flow, that can kick up thunderstorms. Sometimes you'll see it on the satellite image, a nice little line of thunderstorms developing along the sea breeze. And in Florida and Cuba, the two will come together. They'll combine over the middle of the peninsula or the island, in Cuba's case. Oh, wait. Right there.
Oh,
it's
nice.
kind of hard to see.
Look
This
at
is
you.
old school. Look at the line that forms in the afternoon
over
really Cuba.
Cool.
That's funny because I thought in the one I downloaded here, you see thunderstorms that pop up right in the middle of the island for that reason. But you see in Cuba, they're coming together.
Yeah, forming that line of
By the way,
clouds.
what do you think is going on up above? So rising air here.
Yeah, so I think it's just the cycle. You've got the surface low pressure, so air is rising, creating more of an upper level high pressure. And then the opposite's happening on the ocean, right? So you've got the high pressure closer to the surface. And as that air is sinking, it's creating that lower pressure, right? And just,
I guess I kind of see what you mean. Yeah, but I often associate with us in our upper atmosphere. It's often high sinking air and dense. But you're right. If air is coming onshore, air has to replace it out there.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing here.
Yeah. So I think that's all it is. The circulation.
Okay. I might be overthinking it.
Yeah.
Same thing here. So a land breeze, also called offshore flow. In the short term, every night, this is really noticeable, like coastline in the wintertime. If there's no weather systems nearby, you get breezes that come down the river valleys and move out over the ocean. And so that's the opposite. Cool air of the land cools much more quickly. The ocean hardly cools at night, right?
Yeah.
And so you tend to get a land breeze each evening, more pronounced in the cool season.
Yeah.
Again, if there are no weather systems moving through. Weather systems moving through, cold fronts, warm fronts, that's going to totally override this effect.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else did I have related to that? So we have pretty persistent onshore flow in summertime. We have what's called the NPH, the North Pacific High, surface high sitting offshore, pretty much the entire summer.
Yeah.
Sitting out there. But I mean, think how hot it gets in deserts of California, Nevada, Eastern Oregon, especially the Columbia Basin here, the lower elevations up here. So it's a pretty constant onshore flow. All right. It's going to come curving down like this. And in fact, this area here, apparently that I was just reading, that could be one of the best. If the wind turbines were put out here, this has the strongest wind of any offshore, persistent wind of any offshore part of the USA coastline, right off the southern Oregon coast.
Oh, interesting.
Air is always trying to replace that hot air in the Central Valley of California.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That also explains why we get a pretty persistent northerly wind and northwest wind that comes up from Astoria, Kelso, Longview, and Portland.
Yeah.
Almost every afternoon, sunny afternoon in the summer in Portland, almost every one of those. You go down to the Willamette or the Columbia River, there's a northwesterly breeze in the afternoon.
Yep. So for all of you bike racers listening to this podcast, as I'm sure there are many, all those summer nights at PIR, right? Monday and Tuesday nights, people are always like, God, that wind, it's always going to be the same. Yeah, it's always on that like first stretch because that's...
So you've experienced it firsthand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always nice and strong out there in the evenings every summer. Yeah.
And by morning, it's much quieter. Sometimes there's still a light breeze in the morning. This all depends on the weather pattern. If we have if it's hot and been hot to the south, that can draw extra strong northerly winds.
Yeah.
There was a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, it was pretty strong northwest wind. And you can also see why it's often windier at Newport and on the central and southern Oregon coast and up north, because it's kind of accelerating down the coastline and it's kind of channeled by the coast range here.
Yeah.
I think this is from our graph model, but it just shows, how the kind of, it moves faster as it goes down the coastline.
Yeah.
And in the case of northern Oregon and southern Washington here, you can see why the Columbia River Gorge is like a world hotspot for windsurfing and also wind energy all through this eastern part of the gorge and north central Oregon, because this cool air, lower elevations, trapped west of the Cascades, and it squeezes through the gorge. And then it also comes down through the Cascade Passes as well.
Yeah.
It's hot over there, Columbia Basin. I think their average high is low to mid 90s in July, whereas the average high here is about 70.
Yeah, so it's a big gradient.
Very persistent. So that can reverse in the warmest part of the year. We can get an easterly wind that comes down off the Cascades or through the gorge, or the easterly wind in a heat wave can make it all the way to the beaches, and that's caused by. Do I have this? Oh, I don't have it. When the wind overhead up at 3, 4, 5, 7,000 feet is coming over the Cascades, that creates low pressure west of the Cascades. Kind of complicated here. There are graphics, I should have shown it, and then we can get the easterly wind all the way to the beaches. It's rare, but it happens in the summertime sometimes, and that's when we get really hot.
Yeah, or like you said earlier, the positioning of that high pressure system can drive that easterly wind through.
Yeah, it's all about so when we make the forecast for these sorts of situations, at least for now until AI replaces us, and the models are getting better even without AI. But this is how we make the forecast. How hot do we think it'll get? Actually, you can kind of see here. So there's today's visible satellite picture. You see that consistent northerly wind going down the coastline. Look how fast that's moving down there.
Crazy.
Look how quickly the low clouds spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some interesting little lee eddies and stuff going on around the points too.
Yeah.
But you could see kind of a northeasterly flow developing over land today. And that's going to help us warm up a few degrees tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. So did onshore, offshore make sense?
I think so. I think you did a good job with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Big change next week.
Oh boy. Maybe
Camila
rain,
hasn't seen any
cooler.
of these graphics.
I know, this is a surprise for me too.
A lot of inside baseball today.
Yeah.
Camila was here. She put together part of the podcast. And then I said, hey, I can finish up because I was doing the 4, 5, and 6 p.m. shows. And let's be honest, when there's a heat wave coming, it's just sunny. And once we figure out the numbers, it's kind of quiet.
True.
So I said, actually, it's good if Camilla's going to take off, because what happens if you stay here?
We gab. We gab too much.
Especially me. I get a squirrel. I get easily distracted. So I could put all this together. It's amazing when I was just there all by myself, in
So
between
focused.
segments, just throwing together some 500 millibar maps.
Good stuff. So what are we seeing here? This is Monday afternoon, huh?
So yeah, so this is kind of the end of the heat. We have, what do we have? 580. There's still what's left of a ridging going on here. So 585 heights. It's still respectably warm. We're getting near the end. Actually, there is a little upper level low. It doesn't show up too well here. There's a little upper level low off the coastline, and I think that may spread some thunderstorms across southwest Oregon and central Oregon Monday and Tuesday. It will not, as of now, it doesn't look like it moves north to northwest Oregon. But that can be our, thunderstorm pattern in the warm season. So that's Monday afternoon. We jump ahead to Wednesday. Did we just change models? What's going on here? Oh,
why does it look different?
Euro Ensemble doesn't have the wind barbs.
Got it.
But we're down to 575 heights. So heights have dropped quite a bit by Wednesday. And then what do you see? Oh, there's something closing off up here.
Something's a brewing.
That's Wednesday. This is the Euro Ensemble, so we like to look at ensembles farther out, so we're not just looking at one solution. And by next Friday, so this is, Friday the 13th.
Oh, lucky.
Upper level low is coming down the Canadian coastline. Each model's a bit different. Some have more of an open wave. Some just say, no, this thing is going to park itself right over us. 555 heights. So this tells me we're headed into a cooler stretch. It's going to have that late spring feel once again. So if you want the heat, enjoy Sunday, Monday. If you're like, oh my gosh, I wish Portland was like Juneau all summer long. I wish we had drips, showers, and it was 58 degrees or 65 degrees. That may be what's coming up. Not 55, but that may be coming up at the end of next week and the following weekend. So my guess is that following weekend is going to be quite a bit different than this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend is this weekend is the Speedo and pool weekend.
Yeah.
Next weekend is probably the, showery and go hiking weekend.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I don't have a Speedo. Okay.
I doubt it.
But some people out there might. 500 millibar anomaly. This is Sunday the 15th.
Yep.
So this is, 2 days. Is that 2 days later? Friday? Yeah, Sunday. This is from the Euro Ensemble system. And then here's a GFS Ensemble system, same time. Pretty clear message there, right?
Yeah, she's kind of staying right offshore.
Yeah. So my guess is hot, and then we're going into a cooler setup. This is out. Whoops, 250 hours. So we're at the 10-day mark. Pretty unreliable after that. But this is
wow.
Yeah.
Really takes a dive, huh?
Look at the 850 millibar temps. Green is the Euro Ensemble prediction system next 2 weeks. So I highlighted the weekends down below. This weekend, the following weekend, mid-month. There's a pretty clear change here. Not only the operational, which is the blue, the control run, but the green, the ensemble average.
Yeah.
Now, how it gets there is up for debate. When you see these whiskers really spread out, that's like, okay, some solutions are going much cooler, much faster on Wednesday. Others are like, no, it's still okay Wednesday. It's still 80 degrees.
Right.
Yeah. And still a lot of spread in here.
Yeah. So on average, I mean, you're looking at, if you were to compare the weekends, that's a good
summer.
Sheesh, almost like 15-degree difference in those 850 millibar temperatures.
Summer and regular June, which maybe isn't so bad. We don't know yet. We don't know if there's a ton of precip. That said, speaking of precip, I got a map for that too, a chart for that.
Nice.
Same 2 weeks from the Euro Ensemble prediction ensemble system, and look at that. Almost no chance for a shower between now and next Thursday morning.
Yeah.
But after that, I put in this black line here. Half of the members have showers off and on from that point forward, at least for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good to know that we're at least not likely entering just hell heat, summer, dry.
Yeah, in early June, that would be bad.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got some glimmers of hope here for some showers.
And I don't want to leave the GFS out. Same thing. They all kind of look the same, pretty similar today. The GFS Ensemble daily high-low PDX. Real warm, and then cooling.
Peaking Sunday. Yep.
Notice that jump there, 83 to 90, Saturday to Sunday. The point is, it's up 7 or 10 degrees. There's I didn't want to lump all three of those together as first alert weather days because, for one, I didn't think it was that hot, and now most models are saying that. And it's like, it should be very obvious. Okay, Saturday is an okay day, but Sunday the heat is on.
Yeah, if we hit mid-80s Saturday, it's like, okay, we've seen that.
Which is what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
We think. You look at that cool down, though, 60s, 70s.
I mean, I think that looks nice.
That's perfectly normal for June.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our 7 day again because you can't see it too many times. Did you know, Camilla, that our suns, we're working on this, that the sun on that AM icon on Wednesday, it rotates the opposite direction as the others?
Actually, that happens with a few icons. It's not just that one.
It's actually my fault. Actually, it's possible that happens on this one too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, anytime that you had to change it to like mirror something, yes, then it's going to rotate the other direction.
We're going to work on that because I'm sure 2 out of 100 viewers have noticed that the sun rotates the opposite direction.
And it
I didn't
probably
notice.
really grinds their gears.
Yeah, kind of like a gear is how it looks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to work on that. In case you're like, Mark, you got to change the direction of that sunshine. We're gonna change directions here.
Nice.
Okay, Camilla, you want to do the drought check?
Oh, the much anticipated. Yes, let's do it.
You have a number in your head. Yeah, let's do it.
Drought monitor.
Just came out today.
So, yeah, we look at this. Well, I don't know if we look at this every Thursday, but it does come out every Thursday
Once
for
every
our
6
viewing
months.
pleasure. Yeah, so we started. Actually, last week was the first time we started to notice some drought popping up in the state. It was like 9%. Yeah, through Northwest and a little corner in Northeast Oregon. And I think the difference this week, it just, like you said, Mark, kind of dove south a little bit more. So we're seeing a little bit more of that drought in the Willamette Valley. I don't know if the Northeast section changed too much, but it basically went from 9% drought in the state to like 16%, I think.
Right.
So just a little more.
That was it. It kind of bored me. Once I looked at that, and I'm like, yeah, it's a little dry, but it's June.
Wow. Mark's like, here, do this segment. And then the second I do it, he's like, wow, I'm bored.
No, literally, that's the only graphic I have for this segment.
I'm offended.
I think, like I was talking to Peyton about this, we're normally pretty dry in the summer.
Yeah.
Unless something very bizarre happens in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, right? About 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're stuck with this until we get the fall rains.
Right.
We're not going to see sudden drought improvement in July. That's not going to happen.
You just basically see it gradually get worse and worse, essentially, right? It's the pattern.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, viewer photos. We don't want to forget. Oh, that's right. The Northern Lights.
Yes. We had some excellent submissions. It was actually kind of hard to pick, but I picked my favorite two. So this was taken in Somerville, which is, again, remind me, Mark.
North of LeGrand, beautiful area, LeGrand, near Elgin. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So Gabe Curtis sent us this one, and just the vivid color of that pink and the greens is just amazing with the silhouette of those trees. So that was a great one. That was taken on the first.
It was Saturday night, Sunday morning, right? That's when the storm was at its peak.
I think so.
I mean, there was some the next night, so I shouldn't say. We don't know for sure, but it was one of those 2 nights, Saturday night or Sunday night.
Yes, the first was Sunday. So that must have been, Saturday night.
Which could have been
Sunday
2
morning.
a.m. Sunday.
That's true. Yes, that is true.
Some people stay up, late.
Yeah. Well, this is a big, but I still haven't seen this. Like,
that's right. You were working. Was I on vacation? Again, I think I was on vacation. Yeah, I was over in the Tri-Cities, the big one last May.
Is there a pattern here?
I think, and it was right during the 10 o'clock show, so you were inside the studio, I think, for that one.
Yes, I remember because we were messing with the cameras to try to, and we did catch little glimmers of it, I think, on our ski bowl camera. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still haven't seen it with the naked eye, which is a big thing I want to do.
Someday. You could book a trip to Iceland or there's a place in, I think it's outside of Fairbanks where you can go in the winter, you can just, because, you can fly straight there.
Yeah.
And like they have these hot tubs. And so you go sit out when it's like 30 below zero in the hot tub and look at the lights. How cool is that?
That actually sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll run that by the husband's radar.
Yeah. Ooh.
Isn't this one nice? So you can see, I think in the foreground, that must be an orchard of sorts, right?
Or vineyard.
Or is that a vineyard?
Yep.
Yeah. So this was taken near Mosher, and again, very beautiful, like vivid colors in the sky. Thank you, Steve, for this one. And you can see the bonus. You can see stars too.
Oh yeah. And if I wanted to submit, how would I do so?
Oh, it's very easy on our app, Fox 12 Weather app. There's I think it's just in the lower right-hand corner. It says submit photos, or you can go to kptv.com. I think /weather, right?
Yeah. Remember, we got that memo though.
What's the memo?
We want to direct people to the app because we have a lot of good stuff on there. But you know what?
Well,
this is a long form communication, folks. So we're going to sneak this in that it's okay.
It's
okay to go to kptv.com.
But it is easier on the app, and you should have our app if you don't already.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can go there. Oh, yummy! I love that halibut fish and chips.
Isn't that great? I just like this one. This was clearly taken like early in the morning, and you can see that kind of like fog or right? Just hanging right over
Really neat.
the water. Really cool. So Kevin, thank you for this one.
And the buoy. That's neat.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. So that was just a cool shot.
I'm not a big. Have you ever fished, or do you have fisher people in your fisher
Johnny's
people?
family has some, and then we've been on a boat like out on the ocean doing the like deep sea fishing or whatever.
Even I've never done that.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, but also I just don't have the patience for it. I would rather be like water skiing or like I don't know. Doing
I'm the
something.
same way.
Yeah.
I've done it I've gone crabbing right there, like Newport. I remember we went out to the edge of the jetty and then back in, did some crabbing. Yeah. But it wasn't my thing because it was like 5 hours of being on a boat. I'm like, I want to get off and ride my bike or go do something.
Exactly. Yeah, you just have to have a lot of patience, and you're still out in nature, which is wonderful, and you're
look at that.
Yeah, I mean it's gorgeous, but yeah, I'd just rather be moving.
Yeah, and I bet people that do that I think really love just being out on the water.
Yeah,
and that I totally understand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
I think we reached. It doesn't say the end. I need to make a graphic that says the end.
The end. Theme.
Yeah. Oh, it's back to us. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Camila's got a show here in 9 minutes. I'm hungry. So I'm getting 1,000 texts. Did anything significant happen? Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Where are those peanut butter cookies?
What was that?
Where are the peanut butter cookies?
I only have 2 left. I have one for today and one for tomorrow.
I thought you were going to share them with me, and that's why you told me about them.
I'm kidding. You can try one if I get part of that other. You got that other thing.
Are they behind the thing where you normally hide
we
them?
Can negotiate.
Okay.
I think they're a little undercooked. I mean, in a good way.
Okay.
Okay, so folks, is more or less you now have like a 40-minute window into the workings of the First Alert Weather Center. Yes, we get some serious science done, but we have some fun as well. So thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. I am not on vacation next week, so I plan to be here once again.
Nice.
We need to get Katie in. She did that whole podcast by herself 2 weeks ago, which was pretty impressive.
I still haven't listened to it. I need to do that.
I haven't seen her in person on video for like a month or so since she's working mornings. So maybe we can get Katie involved in that one.
That'd be good.
So anyway, stay cool, folks. And next week, I'm sure we will have much cooler weather to talk about. We will see you later.
Please tell us.